Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Free Wednesday with me, Anna Charles. And yes, it is summer. I have my summer dress on. This is so good. All right, so today I have quite a juicy topic and quite a painful topic as well for many people. And certainly this comes up repeatedly when I meet with clients for the first time. And that is on the topic of regret. Specifically, regret that you should have started this further, that you regret or any time wasted, things like that. So that's what we're going to talk about on today's Wine Free Wednesday, the day in the week when I recommend that you just decide you're going to go alcohol free just because it's Wednesday, right? This is a new spin on it's the day, right? I hear so often it's Friday and that's why I drink. So let's have it's Wednesday and that's why I don't drink, because it's Wednesday. Now I talk about a lot in these sessions that when I work with clients, I have four main pillars. And I think if we work on these four pillars, we build a really solid base of mindset. These are the thoughts we're thinking and the way we're directing what we do. So we're working with our thoughts, so they work for us, not against us. They often work against us, and we don't see that until we start doing thought work. Identity, the person you become. The person you become as you do this work. I always say the work I do, this is not about just saying no to the drink. This is not about having some band-aid or plaster that we just kind of stick on and that we hope. This is about just becoming a totally different person around alcohol, so that you no longer, if you are a daily drinker, you no longer daily drink because you don't, because it's not who you are. That's the person you become. I talk about skills. This is a skills thing. Right, we're just learning skills. We're learning skills, and I have tools and tactics and things for that. But these are skills, things that you can learn to do in a different way. And then purpose, which is what do you want from your life and what role does alcohol play in your life? I'm not saying that you need to go sober. I don't tend to use that word at all. But let's look at the purpose. Whenever we drink, let's make sure it has some purpose in our life. All right, so again, today we're talking about regret, which is really a mindset thing, right? This is thinking things like, I should have started this before, I should just be able to stop. I had a client tell me that yesterday, I should just be able to stop. I shouldn't have to basically, do this. And that's because we are really hard on ourselves, because when we look at drinking, well, I will say this is a skills thing, right? In the same way that if you wanted to go off and learn how to fly a plane, you'd have to go to pilot school and you'd have to learn how to do all that thing, just how when you learn to drive, you had to learn certain things. And in order to drink in a different way, we just have to learn other skills. And people, they don't want to hear that because they think I should just be able to do this, right? This is kind of a life skill. Yeah, but you've just taught yourself a particular way. So we unlearn that and we learn another way. Now, we're on back to regret. I hear this all the time. And I see this particularly with people who are really smart, right? We've read all the books, we've heard all the podcasts, we've tried a million times to do all the things. Maybe you've even gone to AA, knowing it didn't resonate, but you've tried all the things. Here's the thing about regret that I really want to offer. It feels motivating, right? It's kind of like, if I feel bad enough, I always do something like I'm whipping myself. If I feel bad enough about myself, and if I can shame myself enough, I'll take action. I will finally figure this out. But that is not the case. When we have a negative thought, when we have a negative feeling, it creates a negative action. It does not move us in the way we want to go. It's actually a loop that keeps us stuck, right? Because if we feel regret, we feel pretty bad, and when we feel pretty bad, what do? We want to hide and escape from that feeling, and then we drink, right? So this is actually, regret just keeps us in the loop further and further. And what we are doing when we are sitting in regret is we are just replaying the past. We're just looking at what we've done, what didn't work, how bad we feel about it, how ashamed we feel about all the chances we had. And we're not looking towards the future, because when we cannot be looking in two directions at once, it's like we're looking in the rear view mirror, as a driving analogy, right? We're looking back, and when we look back and we look at all those errors and mistakes, and we feel really bad, right? And I just want you to imagine, just think for a second how regret feels. Because we say, oh yeah, I regret it. But really, I mean, for me, it was a lurch in my stomach, and I would just then going to, oh my gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. I should have done it all differently. And then we get into feeling guilty as well. Now, guilt, I see as a cousin, a close cousin to regret. If you're feeling regret, guilt is not far behind. Right? So if you're thinking, I should just be able to stop drinking. I mean, I really shouldn't be still struggling with this after however long is it? I did a sales call with somebody last week, 15 years, 20 years they've been struggling. So it's just so embarrassing that I'm still struggling with this. So embarrassment is another near cousin. Can you see that when we've got regret and we've got guilt and we've got embarrassment and they're all kind of piling in, it's really hard to take any kind of positive action from that place. Because everything we do, we're saying, well, that's not going to be enough, right? So yeah, sure, you had one drink less today, but remember yesterday you had 3 too many, and besides you only had one drink less today because this other thing, right? And we just keep looking back, and it actually doesn't matter then when we're filled with regret how many forward steps we're making, because like we're dragging ourselves back, and we say, well, that didn't work, and you've tried a million times and that didn't work, and that's when we get into you're a loser, and I hear all this language all the time. And if this is you, I just want to offer, this is a totally optional feeling. Regret serves zero purpose, zero. It does not motivate us. It does not make us want to change. It just swells us in feeling really bad. So it's completely optional. If you want to feel really bad about yourself, go ahead. But I would say just drop the regret, because the other thing that happens when this happens is I see we get really impatient, right? So we finally decide, yeah, I'm going to do this right now. And I see this when people start working with me, I'm really, really pumped up about the decision. And then we kind of want immediate results. Now, some people get results very quickly, and you will start changing straight away. Right? But we aren't going to go from A to Z immediately. And then we kind of get impatient. And then we think, oh, I just wish I should have done this. I hear people all the time. I have found your podcast, Anna, 2 years ago. Oh, I should have done it then. If I did it then maybe it would have been easier to get on your calendar. Maybe your rates would have been cheaper. They would have been. But and all that wasted time. But I say that, that is spent. Let's just decide from today, let's ditch the regret and start moving forward. And if you are then starting to make changes and you're starting to feel, it starts to feel difficult, then I would say that's actually a sign that things are working. Because think about this, the habit of drinking is so well ensconced in our brains. I mean, we just get onto it. So we get to 5 o'clock and we're drinking before we even think about it, or however it shows up for you. And if you just start making little changes and you're thinking, oh, and this is starting to feel really hard, that's a sign. That's a sign that you're interrupting your brain. That's a sign that the brain is no longer just going through the motions. That's a sign that something is afoot. And even if it is something as simple as, oh, crikey, it's Wednesday, that means wine-free Wednesday, and you have right, am I going to really do this? And you follow through, and you come here, and you listen, and you take action. Those things add up. And before long, you start to think, Wednesday, it's wine-free Wednesday. And then we stop having regret, right? Then we stop saying, well, I wish I should have done wine-free Wednesday when Anna first started. But actually you can think, well, I've done it the last 2 Wednesdays, right? Can you see just that little mindset shift? We are just so taught in life that you've just got to feel really bad about yourself, that you've got to get to rock bottom, that you've got to really want this. And yes, you need to really want this, but that doesn't mean it can feel all swampy and horrible and full of regret. It is totally, totally optional. So anyone's online right now, I would love to hear from you. Where do you regret? And again, if you listen to the replay of this and you want to make a comment, I'm happy. I will respond to comments and questions. Do you have any feelings of regret? You should have started this sooner, right? That you should have done this, you should have done that, you should have listened to what somebody said before, you shouldn't have had the extra drinks on Friday because you were doing so well last week, right? I want you just to think about these things. And when you think about these things, I want you to ask how you feel and then how you will act from that place, right? This is the magic, because you do not need more willpower. You hear that a lot, but that for me, that means you do not have to be super strong and like Wonder Woman or Superman and go and do everything perfectly. You don't have to fight through this, right? There are different steps to take, but please, I just ask of you, and it is something you can decide right now. I am just going to ditch the regret. I'm not going to sort of shame myself anymore for what I didn't do or what I should have done. I'm not going to have all those regretful feelings. I'm instead going to have my eyes focused on where I'm going and take action. Now, as I say all this, it's a couple of things. I'm going to drop links below. If you regret how you handle cravings, very, very common. If you think, oh, should have done it yesterday, should have been stronger. You do not need to be stronger. You need to be a little bit more decisive. You do not need to be stronger. I'm going to drop a link to a document I have, 3 ways to crush cravings, just really to handle cravings. I mean, it'll just get you started. So I'm going to drop that below. This week's podcast, on my 90 Days Later podcast, I explode this topic of regret for not starting sooner completely. This was actually, by the way, one of my listeners' requests. So this was a listener request, I guess. So if you go and you can listen to that, and that will fully explain why regret is not, just does not serve. And I give a 3-step process on the podcast for how, if you are living in regret, how you can do away with that. And finally, I will say, if you're listening to these and you're getting value, and you listen to my podcast and you're getting value, and you are in this, oh, I should have done this sooner, today is the best day. I just had a client finish her sessions with me, so a spot has opened up. She told me that our work together changed her life. She is a different person. It's a quote. She said, "You've changed my life." Her life is no longer around alcohol. She used to drink a bottle a day. She actually doesn't really drink at all anymore. And not because she has to go sober, but just because she doesn't. Because it's just not the person she is. And she doesn't have 1 ounce of regret as to what happened before, because she took the action and she backed herself. She felt terrified when we started working together. Most people do. If you feel really scared as to whether you think you can do this, that is totally normal. But you can do this, and the moment you start, that is the moment that the regret stops. I want you to think about that, because you are then taking action. I have the path, I have the knowledge, I have the tools. I've done this now, if not millions, but hundreds of times. I know how to get you to where you want to be. And I will drop the link there to initially book a free chat with me. There's no strings attached. You ask me the questions, I find out where you are, and I tell you what it would require and what it would be like. And we talk about moving into that new life, so that you do not need to regret, because you will instead step into feeling courageous, brave, and proud. And when you feel courageous, when you feel brave, and when you feel proud, that's when you start to create positive momentum. That's when life really changes. All right, got just a minute more. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Otherwise, I will end this now. We've got snooker on tonight. And there's snooker in Saudi Arabia, of all places. I will be going to watch my favorite snooker. And again, just a reminder, as Facebook deletes these lives after, I think, 30 days, you can find these all on my YouTube channel, 90 Days Later with Anna Charles. Okay, guess that's it. So have a lovely, successful wine-free Wednesday with 0 regret. Just try practicing if this comes up, if you start to get into that. I'm just not going to do that this week. And check out the links below, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.